Well, welcome back to the Red Man Walking channel, and today we're talking tents. So welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking tents, and these aren't the most up-to-date or the newest design in tents, but these are the tents that I have used over the years, and some of them I continue to use for my long distance trails or my overnighters into the mountains. So this video is not going to be a tech spec deep dive into any of these tents. When they first came out, all these tents will have been reviewed to death. This is just a chance for you to see some of the tents I've used on my long distance hikes and what's more and more becoming my trips up into the mountains, and the reason why at the time I bought these tents. And it's all happening not up in the mountains, but as you can see, in the comfort of my garden. So the tents we're going to be taking a look at today are the MSR Elixir 3, the Hubba Hubba NX2 and the Nortent Vern 1. Now, each of these tents on the trips I've taken have served very different purposes. The MSR Elixir 3 I bought initially because my son and daughter, when they were wee, were desperate to come out on canoe camping trips with me. This is all before I started on YouTube, and I needed somewhere that we could both sleep and have the gear indoors, and the Elixir 3 was certainly a good idea for that. And this one, incidentally, is going to be on sale very shortly because it's no longer required as part of my tent setup. So it's been a great tent, and we'll let you see it in a second. The Hubba Hubba NX2 was something much lighter that I was able to take along my first trip on the West Highland Way back in 2021. It packs down really small, and certainly was an industry standard when it first came out, and was, it was quite an innovative tent for its time. And of course, the last but not least is the tent you'll have seen in my last video up on the top of the mountain at the back of the Glencoe Mountain Resort, which was the Nortent Vern 1. A tent that had a little bit of controversy on its launch, but I think more and more people are coming round to the idea of the Nortent Vern 1, as long as you don't compare it to any other tents. Compare it in its own right. So let's look at the specs for each of the tents and look at the kind of comparison in size and weight. So first up is the Elixir 3. It's a 3-person tent, though realistically it's probably more ideal for 2 people and gear. If it's split between 2 people, it certainly would be a very manageable tent. It's coming in at around 3.2 kilograms, or 7 pounds if you're from America. The material is a 68 ripstop polyester fly with a 70D nylon floor. It's rated to 3 seasons. Pack size, it's quite bulky, and as I say, it's probably best split between 2 people just in order to keep the weight down. The Elixir 3 from MSR is certainly the heaviest tent I own at 3.2 kilograms, and as you can see from the pack size, it's a bulky old tent if it's just carried by 1 person. Split between 2, this is a much more manageable tent, and yeah, it offers 3 season camping and plenty of interior space for 2 people to happily live on those long distance trails. Right, let's go on to the next tent, my tent number 2. So the next tent up is the MSR Hubba Hubba NX2. It's one that was aimed at backpackers because it's light, it's compact, and it's easy to pitch. Now, the weight of this is 1.54 kilograms, or if you're in America, 3.4 pounds. The material it's made of is a 20D ripstop nylon fly with a 30D floor. It's got a season rating of 3 seasons. I've certainly never had it out in winter conditions, and it's very compact. I've always collapsed this down into 2 dry bags, one for the inner, one for the fly sheet. On trips along the West Highland Way, certainly when the fly sheet gets wet, it's quite handy to be able to pack it away into a different bag. But again, the stuff sack's very good on this. It's got a good compression sack on it. So the Hubba Hubba NX2 from MSR has been my go-to tent for, it'll be 4 or 5 years now. The weight of it was the thing that first attracted me to it. The reviews were outstanding on this tent because it's small, it's packable. Of course, this was the advent before trekking pole tents became a thing. So yeah, this was the industry standard for backpacking and trekking tents. Things I like about it, the space inside. Because it's a 2-person tent, I've got space to have my gear indoors. Again, it's got 2 vestibules either side, so the smelly shoes and boots can go on one end side of the tent and my cooking gear can be on the other. So yeah, it's quite a versatile tent in that sense. And at a pinch, yes, you could squeeze 2 people into this quite comfortably, but we'll show you more about that once we get the tents up and pitched. But yeah, this has been a mainstay of my camping and hiking collection for the last 5 years. So the final tent in my collection is the Nortent Vern 1. It's the newest of my tents, and this is a solo tent from Nortent in Norway. It's built for the rougher conditions. The Elixir and the Hubba Hubba from MSR, yes, I know a lot of people do take these into the mountains, but I wanted something that I could rely upon should the weather turn bad. It's built for the rougher conditions and for kind of colder trips. I'm looking forward to at some point in the future getting up into Glencoe and doing an actual snowy camp on the top of one of the mountains, and this will be the tent I'll be taking. So what are the specs for this tent? Well, it weighs approximately 2.9 kilos at its heaviest. You don't have to take all the stakes with you, so you can reduce that down to a lighter 2.4. But I say it's heaviest, if you've got all the stakes with you, it's 2.9 kilograms, or I think that's 6.4 pounds if you're an American weight. The material is a 20D sil nylon with reinforcement points, which we'll show you later. This is a proper 4-season tent, and yeah, you'll see again when we get it pitched what makes a 4-season tent. It is quite compact, but it still is a bit on the heavier side for a solo tent, but that's again partly due to the fact that you're getting something that's a bit more robust, a bit more reinforced, that's going to look after you when you're out in the mountains. So the Nortent Vern 1 is a solid, robust little tent that I have had out in some wild conditions and some not so wild conditions, and it's never done me wrong yet. The condensation hasn't been bad on the inside for a 4-season tent, and yeah, it's a solid piece of kit when the weather turns nasty in the mountains. So let's go and get these tents set up, and we'll give you a bit of a better look at what they look like outside and in. So we're going to start off with the MSR Elixir 3, which was my first backpacking tent that I bought, but I was using it for myself and for when I wanted to take the 2 children, Cameron and Jennifer, out in it. As you can see, I've not put the fly sheet on yet, just to let you have a look at how it pitches. It is very wide, and yeah, it comes with 3 poles. This is before the kind of hub system was set up for MSR. So this pole across the middle is an individual pole, and these 2 poles are connected by these small kind of connectors on the corners here. But yeah, this has been a fabulous tent. I say this is the one that very shortly will be going up for sale on eBay. Probably looking for around about the £200 mark for this one. Well, as you can see, I'm 6'2", And yeah, there is loads of space for me to set up in this tent. I think if you were up to maybe even 6'4", this tent would be ideal for you. It has the double zips, which again, MSR has all the put reflective cord on the zips and on the guy line, so that if at night you're walking about with your head torch, you can see it easily reflecting back in the light. But yeah, big wide opening for the door, which I'll let you see once we get the fly sheet on, how that looks and how you can open it out to give you those fabulous views you'll have when you're out in the outdoors. So I'll take you inside and let you see what this looks like. So this tent is a veritable palace compared to the Hubba Hubba NX2 and the Nortent Vern 1. It is massive on the inside. I think the fact it doesn't have fabric on the ceiling helps to give you that feeling of extra space above. But as I say, you can sit in this easily. 2 people could be in here and getting changed. Because of that pole design going over the roof, it takes the sides right out and means you've got more vertical sides at the 2 doors of the tent, giving you this feeling of an absolute palace. Now, in terms of storage on the inside, it's limited to 2 pockets. You have a pocket that runs from here over to here, but you can see how deep that is. And it has the same at the other end of the tent, meaning if you were sharing it with 2 people, then you could have 1 each, and there is tons of space at each end of the tent. Now, it did come with an additional add-on gear loft that you could buy as a separate. I didn't get in time, which you'll see the loops on the roof of the tent that would accommodate a gear loft. I'm sure somebody like Big Agnes or something like that would have a gear loft that you could add into this tent to give you that additional gear loft space. But yeah, this has been an absolute stellar tent. As I say, the only reason I stopped using it was because the kids stopped wanting to come out with me. So it's time to move this tent on and let somebody else enjoy it. And yeah, let's go and look at the next tent, which is has been my go-to tent for the last 5 years, which is the Hubba Hubba NX2. So the Hubba Hubba NX2 has been a go-to in the camping community for certainly over the last 10 years, I would guess. It has been a favourite of backpackers around the world, and I know it's still, whenever I pitch it, people say, oh, that's my dream tent. So if you're not into the new trekking pole style tents, this might be a tent that you'd be looking at and coveting. And as I say, I have used this every year I've done the West Highland Way. This has been the tent I have used because it doesn't weigh very much more than 1.5 kilos. Not quite as wide, as you can see as the Elixir 3, but you wouldn't expect to because it's a 2-person tent. And unlike the Elixir 3, all the poles are connected here. And this was the innovative part of the reason why it was called a Hubba. It had this hub system that connects all the poles together into one system. So yeah, that cross pole again makes the sides very, very steep, giving you this feeling of having lots of space inside. And again, because it's got the mesh on the door, on the roof, and on the ends, you get this really airy feeling inside the tent. This tent really comes in 2 colours. You've got the option of grey or green. I went for the grey one because I wasn't looking to be stealth. I was looking for light airiness on the inside of the tent on nights where I had to be indoors because the rain was on. But let's take you inside and let you have a look at the features on the inside of the Hubba Hubba NX2. So it's got a very similar style bathtub floor to the Elixir, and again it has another door on the other side. Where it differs is it has more fabric on the roof, but again, if you were wanting to look at the stars at night, the bits above your head, they're made of mesh, so again you could do stargazing as well using this. I've added the additional line on the top here to give me a bit for drying stuff off should it get wet when I'm out hiking. And yeah, this has been my go-to tent for at least 5 years, and yeah, I'd be loath to give this tent up for any reason. This is one that will stay with me as long as it's still keeping me dry and staying waterproof. So again, this tent inside has plenty of space as a two-man tent. I use it as a one. That means I can get my wide pad in here and still have plenty of space to put my rucksack indoors. I know some people like to keep their stuff, their packs and things out in the vestibules. I had a nasty experience waking up in the morning to find slugs all over my pack when I once did that. So my stuff goes inside now. Again, if I put my feet at the bottom of the tent, 6'2", and again, I've got, woof, that's more than 6 inches. This is slightly longer internally than the Elixir 3. Again, the storage is kind of similar to the Elixir 3 in the sense that at each end of the tent on these mesh bits, there is a storage pocket, which if you were at a pinch and you were sharing it with 2 people, yes, your packs could be in the rather large vestibules you get on these MSR tents, and each person could have their own storage at the bottom. But yeah, this has been a fabulous tent for me, and I cannot say enough good things about the Hubba Hubba NX2 as a backpacking tent. Right, final tent to look at is the Vern 1, the newest one to my collection, and the one that I'll be using most when I go up into the mountains, unless I know it's going to be a dry day and not too windy, in which case this would be the one I would take with me. So let's go and have a look at the Nortent Vern 1. So this tent here is the latest in my collection, and it is an absolute bomb-proof shelter in the higher winds. I bought it initially to give me that peace of mind and the comfort when I'm out in the mountains if things were to go bad. Now I generally, if I know the weather's going to be 40, 50 mile an hour winds or above, I would avoid going out. But should you get caught a little bit short in the mountains, this tent is one that would certainly, or it should, hold up when you're up in the hills, and it's the reason why I bought it. I know other people have had bad experiences with this tent. I so far have not, but then I'm not a storm chaser. Not aiming to take it out in storms. So let's have a look around some of the features on the Nortent Vern 1. So this tent's designed to stand up to higher and stronger winds, and it's got points on it that other tents generally don't have outside of your higher end things like the Hillebergs. And again, I'm not comparing this tent to a Hilleberg. They're very different tents, but in its own right, its own sense, this is what Nortent are doing to make the tent very robust and very strong in high winds. At the bottom of the poles here we have these extra sturdy reinforced sleeves, which just adds a bit more strength to the bottom of the poles. And as you see as you come up here, the same happens on the hooks. There is this thicker plastic that spreads the kind of energies that the wind produces on the tent across the fabric, meaning you don't get points where it tears, and that happens right along both sides. Another feature I like about it is it has 2 doors which I'll open in a second and let you see, which means if the wind changes direction in the night, you can open one side, and if it switches, you can switch it and open the other side. So yeah, that's quite a versatile thing about this tent, and one that makes it rather good. It comes also with these additional attachment points for your guy ropes. So this just wraps around the pole and helps to spread the weight across the entirety of the tent. And again, that the guy lines have a reflective property to them, so when the light's shining on them, you get a reflection back in the night, meaning you're not tripping over the top. Ventilation wise, you've got ventilation at both ends of the tent, and additionally you've got ventilation here. Now it's not open at the minute, but you can choose if you want to open that up, and it just gives you that wee bit of more ventilation to the inside of the tent. Now what makes this a 4-season tent, if you notice, the ground sheet on this goes right down to the ground. This is to stop snow and things from getting in under the tent and chilling you from the outside in. It kind of seals you into a wee bubble. Now these tents any four-season tent will be prone to a little bit of condensation because it's got that little bit of less of ventilation. Have I found it to be bad on the inside? No, not at all. Not yet, but then it's not been extensively tested in the sense that I've had it out maybe 5 or 6 times now. But yeah, the Nortent Vern 1, fabulous tent, and it pitches all in one, unlike the 2 MSR tents, which are an internal first, which can be okay, but in wet weather you can be dashing around trying to get the inner up before it gets absolutely soaked, whereas this, it pitches in one. And in actual fact, I bought the additional ground sheet which clips all together, so the ground sheet's actually attached to the inner and to the fly, so this pitches in a matter of minutes and is a fabulous tent. But I'll open up both doors and let you see the inside of the Nortent Vern 1. So there you go, we've got both doors open on the Vern 1, and on a calm evening you could have these, when you're up in the mountains, opened up, looking right across to any views that you're going to get from the top of whatever mountain you're pitching yourself on. Yeah, I love the versatility of this, being able to open both. So something I really love about this tent is it's got the 2 elastic tie-out points rather than just the one. So it holds the door back, keeps it away nice and compact and tidy, and opens the view wide up. So if you're lying in your tent, having your meal, listening to the radio or whatever you're doing, you've got this massive space that you can look out through. Yeah. Now there is another option when you open these doors, if you're looking for a quicker idea, is that they do come, tent door has the same little hooks as goes along the top here. Now this can be looped underneath the kind of tensioning straps that keeps the tent pulled in tight. You can hook that under to stop the zip undoing in high winds, but again, in the morning, if you're just looking to get out the tent quickly, it can be clipped on, and again that lifts that up out the road. And yeah, that could be a quicker option if you're not going to be out the tent for a longer period of time. But I'll wind these back and then take you inside and let you have a look at the internals of the Vern 1. So as I say, everything in this tent is designed to be kind of weather resistant in terms of wind. It's got the extra strapping on the floor that'll reinforce, and you can tighten and hunker the tent right in. Yeah, and there is multiple, as you'll see, guy lines around this tent that hold it really sturdy in high winds. So let's take you inside and let you see the inside of the Vern 1. Now it is a bit darker in here, obviously because it's a darker coloured fly sheet. Now you have storage pockets over there. A brilliant wee feature is it actually comes with its own drying line. That comes as part of the tent. It's got more storage pockets up on the roof line down at the head or foot end, whichever way around you're lying. And then you have your ventilation, which can be zipped up, and that is the same at both ends of the tent. You do have this additional pocket at the door as well. So this tent, for a one-person tent, has absolutely masses of storage on the inside of it. It's something, you know, I don't know how much gear you'd have to take with you for you not to have enough space in this tent. It is huge for one person. It's got a good thick bathtub floor, and yeah, this has been my go-to mountain tent for certainly the last 2 years, and it's one that I'll be hanging on to, mainly because I don't have the money to go out and buy a £1,000 Hilleberg tent. They're just a little bit out of my price range, but this is, yeah, a good alternative if you're not looking to spend that kind of money. So the tent pegs that Nortent send you with their tents are very kind of groundhog-esque. There's that Y shape that you get on the kind of more robust pegs, and you get a whole bunch of these as part of the deal. Now, yes, I know what you're probably all thinking. Does he wash his tent pegs? Yes, I do. If you've ever watched Only Fools and Horses, you'll know when Trigger's asked about his broom, he says,
We have an old saying that's been handed down by generations of road sweepers. Look after your broom.
Would your broom look after
No, Dave, it's just look after your broom.
I've got a saying in my outdoor experience: look after your gear. Just look after your gear. So yes, I do wash my tent pegs. Keeps them in good condition, and the tents always go away dry. Right, I'm going to go and get the fly sheets on the Elixir and the Hubba Hubba NX2 just to let you see what they look like with a full fly sheet on and give you an idea of what the vestibules look like inside. So this is the NX2 and the Elixir 3, both with their fly sheets on. Now you can see the Elixir 3 is quite a behemoth of a tent once you get that fly sheet on, because the vestibules do stick out a good way. I'll open up the doors and let you see the size of these vestibules, because it really does add a whole lot of additional space to the inside of your tent. So I've got the vestibule doors open halfway. They can be taken, you can take the peg out the front and open them all the way up to really open up the front of the tent. But as you can see in the Elixir 3, that is a massive space for putting gear for cooking in wet weather. All these tents come with, it's a kind of rain gutter to stop the rain dripping down onto the internals of the tent. And that goes as well for the NX2. It's a similar design, maybe not quite as large as the Elixir 3, but it is a smaller tent. And again, it comes with the same rain guttering to stop the rain from running off the top of the fly and straight down into your tent. And I say this is the same on both sides of both the MSR NX2 and the MSR Elixir 3. So there we go, that has been a very quick whistle-stop tour of the tents that make up my collection at the minute, one of which of course I'm going to be selling very shortly on eBay, because there's somebody out there who will have fabulous adventures in that MSR Elixir 3 tent. It's not right for me at the minute. I don't need a 3-person tent. Nobody wants to share a tent with me because I snore. Anyway, this has probably been one of the first tent or gear reviews that I've done, and we've taken the 3 tents. So, I've been G from Red Man Walking, and all that remains for me to say is go and create your own adventures, and we'll see you on the next one.